Hello,
Yo,
hello, hello, hello.
when you said that, it almost sounded like an echo.
Uh-oh. Well, that's not good.
Your hello, first hello, and your second hello are like the same.
Oh, okay, good. Do you actually hear an echo? Because who knows what's happening right now, technically. Can anybody hear us? What's happening here? We're trying to figure this out.
Neither Don nor I have the pandemic skills of setting up a Zoom call.
Well, it seemed very simple, but for some reason the camera wasn't popping through. It seems like everything should be okay now, but yeah, everybody. Well, they definitely could see you on prior to us starting the stream. Let me see.
The bit incentives are still on. That's Gabby's fault. I don't know what to do with it.
Oh boy. Well, this should be
Um,
exciting. All right, yeah.
yeah.
I don't think
I
it's set up
don't
for.
know if we'll even hear them, so
Yeah, I was
probably
gonna
don't
say I
spend
don't think
money on it.
I don't think we're gonna hear them.
They're
It's
not
gonna
set up in OBS or anything.
at worst case they'll be playing in the empty streaming room down the hall. They can hear us
Right.
and see us. This is wonderful news, Sarah Knight. Thank you. All right, we're good to go then. Do you see the Game Pro magazine sprawled before you? This ad from the '90s. Can you see that as well?
Yeah, I see it. It's on the Twitch feed.
Okay, good. So we're in business, Blood. We're actually in business.
Yeah, and yeah, maybe I'm a little framey or whatever, but don't worry about that, chat. It's fine.
Yeah.
I don't need to be 120 hertz or anything.
On my end, you look smooth, but who knows
Right.
what other people are experiencing. So what's up with this ad? Do you remember it, Blood? I don't remember this.
Um, remember is a strong word. I remember many ads along these lines, but I don't know if I remember the
Yeah.
specific one.
Yeah, the graphical layout is familiar for sure. This was '90s.
Yeah. Yeah, this whole campaign looks familiar, although I'm not 100% sure if I've seen this ad.
RF Switch can remember this specific Metroid ad. This looks so before Super Metroid, after Super Metroid. Okay, I guess. What's
Yeah.
going on here? We have some yummy lamb shanks after to celebrate beating it. Is that what this is talking about?
It happens so fast. One minute, you're a cute, fuzzy-faced little thing. The next minute, you're served up on a platter with a side of mint jelly.
Okay,
Such is
now
the
I get it.
intensity of new Super Metroid for the Super NES. Six new worlds of what a weird description.
Yeah,
Super Metroid is six new worlds.
yeah.
It's like they couldn't fathom the idea of a large interconnected level.
We've gone
Six
smaller for the sequel.
Yeah, six new worlds of wilder weapons, weirder weirdos, and those ever lovable, life-sucking Metroid hatchlings, all waiting to turn you into so much dead meat.
Lovable
Luckily,
Metroids.
you're Samus Aran, so you've got more than good looks and a
Oh
charming
boy.
personality going for you,
Oh boy.
like ice beams, power bombs, super missiles, screw
Nice.
attacks, and other new implements of destruction.
Now you're
Screw
talking my language. It took
Screw attacks is not a plural. You don't pluralize screw attacks.
It would
Like
be screw attack,
I,
wouldn't it?
I guess if you use it multiple times, I
Over
guess
the
it could
course,
be screw
they've
attacks.
been screw attacks. Yeah.
I guess. In fact, with 24 megs, hey, there it is, right there from Damiani's trivia time. It was
Impressive.
in the ad.
Yeah,
Uh,
this was big megs back then. I remember that. I mean, that was what Neo Geo banked on. You know, that 100
mhm.
mega shock. You're going, what on earth? How's that possible?
In fact, with 24 megs of stuff, it's not just the biggest Metroid game ever. It's Nintendo's biggest game ever. But don't even think about playing it unless you've got a Super NES. What? Okay. Oh, and it
What a
wouldn't hurt to
burn.
have a little of that mint jelly on hand either. The
Okay, that's
best
just.
play here, seared, supposedly seared. It's a very bad job of making it look like it's seared onto that meat, but sure.
Oh yeah, look at that. I didn't even notice. It was branded on. What a crazy ad. It took 3 paragraphs before it would have appealed to my kid
The
sensibilities.
the funny thing is that I'm not 100% sure if they're trying to allude to like the lamb being like this is what happens if a Metroid gets a hold of you, or if it's just like this game's so cool. I I don't
it
know.
it's so intense. I think it is that you're just yeah, you're when it gets a hold of you, you're just done. You're like served up on a plate essentially. served up
If
on a platter. But it's
things get
weird because it's like,
hairy,
what kids
use the
eat lamb?
speed booster to outrun enemies,
But where
or
does it say that?
snag a grappling beam, or pray.
I
It's the
appreciate
caption.
or pray. I love the use of what was the harry? You don't see the verb harry used by
Right,
by marketing teams very often, so that's very
right.
cool. This was cutting edge advertising in many ways. Okay, Be Our Spies has lamb every Christmas. But as a kid, would this have meant anything to you? I don't remember really liking eating lamb or anything till I don't know. I must have been at least a teenager.
Hmm.
I don't think
Oh,
lamb is a dish that appeals to kids in any kind. Wouldn't it have been a better to show what would make sense for a kid, like a waffle? I don't know. And then like what could you show? It'd be tough.
Prometheus, I'm still imagining a speed run where you have to beat the game and then cook a lamb chop.
Beat the game before the lamb chop is overdone. Is that possible? It might be. It doesn't take that long to beat the game. I found out, right? Isn't the quick?
No,
What's
it doesn't.
That's
It really
crazy.
depends. Like if you're speed running, it doesn't for sure.
Even if you just know what you're doing and you're not speedrunning, right? Like Damiani gets through that real fast if he
Yeah,
runs.
you
Isn't
can
it
get through it
something
pretty
crazy?
quickly.
Like isn't it under an hour, right? Or something crazy?
You're basically speed running if you get it under an hour. But if you,
Okay.
yeah, if you're just doing like a good playthrough of knowing what you're doing, like yeah, I'd say, you know, 3 or 4-ish. You know.
Okay, so Casper is coming in and saying that they have eaten lamb since they were a little kid and it was just a cultural thing. Interesting.
Oh
So
yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
guess
Yeah, people eat like lamb and mutton
I
a
guess
lot in
so.
other countries.
Regionally, it's a lot bigger than it is here for in that kind of way. Yeah, lamb is always
Yeah.
more like it feels like a specialty kind of item you're getting out here. At
If you
least to me,
get
it does.
Mediterranean food, lamb's pretty common.
I guess so, huh? You're right. With Mediterranean food, it is just a staple. But lamb
Um,
shanks like that. I don't know. Maybe the lamb shank is
oh,
what's
sure,
making me
sure.
feel like it's something fancy.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, those cuts in particular, they look
Yeah.
like little ice cream pops or something. Um, uh, Bradley also said, asked if this was during a time when people didn't understand the concept of console generations. I don't. This is past that. This is way past that because
Oh
Super
yeah.
Metroid was 94, and by this point we'd already had the 16-bit wars in full
Well,
swing.
look at this. What I'm saying, yeah, Blood. That's exactly what it made me think of. That line right there that says, "In fact, with the 24 megs of stuff, it's just the biggest Metroid." That and don't even think of playing unless you got a Super NES. I mean, look, this still reeks. The contra. You can see the console wars are not far in our rearview mirror with that kind of talk. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah. This is yeah. This is at the height of all that
yeah.
because Donkey Kong Country was later this year, and like they
What
were,
a
in their
year! What a
marketing, they were
year!
even like, you don't need a 32X, you don't need a 32 meg system, like talking, meaning the PlayStation, right?
Yeah.
Um, that was on the way. It's like
Oh
Donkey Kong
yeah,
Country's
that's
got the best
right.
graphics of any game right now,
The photorealism was a yeah. That's what a big deal was there, right there. So
You don't need
Laubro has had
CD-ROM.
yeah. Who needs a CD? Laubro and has had kangaroo and croc as well. So this ad would have been bizarre if it would have had like a decapitated kangaroo head, right? But that would have been effective.
I don't think you could show a decapitated kangaroo
It
head
could have to be cartoonish.
in a magazine ad.
I guess so. It would have to be cleaned up like those shanks somehow,
Yeah.
ready for eating. Highly anticipated is remembering an ad with toenails in a jar. I don't remember that one. That's disgusting.
Um, that sounds vaguely familiar, but I don't remember what it was
Sh-
for.
Shall we flip the page and see what's next
Yeah.
in this GamePro issue? I guess a fun thing would be so look, Blood has already identified a couple important things. He said, so you know the year, obviously. I guess maybe you cheated and saw the copyright. Can you see
No, I
that
haven't
on
seen the
OBS?
capture. It's a little small
Okay,
on my
so
screen.
you can't see. Okay, cool. So Blood just knows that this was the year.
It's like the
But you said
first thing you see on that Super Metroid screen is
Super Metroid and Donkey.
1994.
I couldn't remember that was exactly 94. I would have been like, I don't know, 93, 94, 95, no, somewhere around there. So you know this is 94, eh, Blood? So let's see
Hmm.
who can get. We're gonna. So we know this is 94 at some point. I wonder if we can narrow it down to the month. I guess we're gonna see it pretty soon when we see the content, so it won't matter. How I saved the world from the alligator people. So this is
What?
now a peripheral. I remember this Super and SNES
Oh,
Advantage,
third
right?
party stuff.
Yeah, and look at that SNES Advantage. That thing is
What is
sick.
what is
I remember a couple of
what's
these
the
actually.
brand here? I'm not seeing where the brand is. It's too small for me.
Actually, where does it? Is this a multi-page ad? No.
No, it's all right there.
What is this? Oh, ASCII-ware. ASCII-ware?
ASCII.
ASCII-ware. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I don't, but I do remember this Super Nintendo looking Advantage controller and also that Power Clutch Genesis one. I can remember
That
those
that
two.
that that arcade stick, that is
Yeah.
just that is some wild, unhinged, like that looks fake.
Yeah.
It looks so fake. Like, why would you make it look like the console?
Oh, it's overbuilt for sure. It's intense. I
Yeah,
kind of like
and
it though.
the yeah, and with the other one that's above it, the other Super Nintendo controller at the top, like I guess it's got turbo switches for every button.
Oh, the handheld one? Yeah, it looks like that, huh?
Yeah, the
Or
regular
the
controller.
little regular controller. It's cool how it has the Famicom colors though, because
Yeah, you know
they
why
didn't
that
have that in the
is.
U.S. though,
That's
right?
that's that's because they just made these things worldwide. So
Oh.
they weren't gonna manufacture a different model for the US.
I remember being a kid and like a little kid, I remember the earliest advertisements showed the Famicom colors that you'd see in magazines or whatever. And then when it
Yeah.
actually came out, I was so disappointed that you didn't have the colored buttons. And I don't know if I ever even had, other than that Advantage there, that Super Nintendo Advantage stick. I don't think I actually ever got the handheld one with the colors. It always looked so much nicer, I thought, with the colors.
Um I I think I was along those same lines back
Yeah.
then. I think now I really do prefer the design on the US controller.
Hmm.
I think it looks a little bit cleaner with just the two-tone difference between the buttons. And I really, really have always appreciated the differences that they have for touch. That the top
Oh,
two are concave and the bottom two
yes.
are convex.
Oh, it's
And
the
that
whole
was
thing.
unique to that US version.
You never forget that feel. It was genius. It was a genius move to do that. Yeah, especially since the Sega whatever 6 button controller didn't do that, and it was like weird how they just had the different sizes, but it was still, and they were so close together. I don't know. I always had an edge for the SNES controller. I thought
Yeah, those Sega fighting sticks are interesting there too.
that thing is solid though. That thing looks heavy duty. I'm pretty sure one of my friends had that a long, long time ago because it looks too familiar. At least the one
It
on
looks
top
familiar to
left.
me too.
That
Yeah.
top, it feels like I've touched that thing. It feels like I have
Oh,
vague, vague memories.
yeah, no, I'm talking about
That
the six stick ones that are on the planet
Those
itself.
are nice as hell. Those I don't think
Yeah.
I've ever played with, but they look very nice. How I Saved the World from the Alligator People. This is a whole thing. So look what advertising did. I mean, this is the kind you'd spend an afternoon getting through this ad, right? Or just reading the ads in this issue. It's like, gosh, they've got a lot to
Hmm.
say here. So who knows what the story is with the Alligator People? Shall I
What's this
flip?
thing about the basketball in the corner?
Oh, I didn't even see that. Wait, I have
Look for
chat
the
blocking.
ASCII-ware accolade Barkley Shut Up and Jam
Whoa.
contest in this issue of GamePro.
Okay.
So they did something with Accolade. They had a contest.
Accolade. What the heck happened? Oh, exclusive accolade. I see. Okay. Got it. All right. Let's see what's next. Here we go. The table of contents. More peripherals, third person sticks, and modified controllers. So this was huge in 94 to be getting these modified controllers with the turbo switches, especially. That's what those all are, I guess, right? Just turbo switches?
Yeah, lots of turbo switches.
Yeah.
The
It was all about mashing faster than the human thumb could do, huh? This is what was big
well,
back then. It was just about mashing.
remember when we did the Turbo Graphics video? Um,
Oh, I
the
love that
turbo button on
preview.
the official controller. Um,
Yes, that was huge, right?
it
That was
was
the
not only
fast.
huge, it's absolutely Bonk is absolutely designed with that in mind.
Wait, what the
Because
heck do you do turbo with that?
there's head spinning.
Oh,
Remember, like he spins his
spinning.
head and he kind of hovers in the
Oh, he
air.
hovers.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
And
right.
so when we did Achieve It Yourself with that bonk thing back in the day,
That was
uh,
good.
we were trying to do that with the Wii Classic controller or whatever, and everyone was having such a hard time. But it's because it was built for the turbo controller on the Turbo Graphics, and that just wasn't, there was no functionality on
Yeah.
the Virtual Console that allowed you to do that.
Oh, that's funny.
So once I played it on, what was as close to native hardware as you could get, it was
Yeah.
like, oh. Okay. This is way easier now.
A lot of love for that episode. It sounds like people remember fondly the Bonk episode.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So we got
Yeah,
a bunch of good stuff in here.
Sarah's asking people to get their submissions in of what for the Barkley contest.
Oh yeah, look at that. We should. So they're hyping Mortal Kombat 2. I guess here we can see in the
Oh
table of
yeah, the table of
contents.
contents right next to the third ad of this
Main,
issue.
yeah, May 94. We're finally getting to some content. I'm trying to see actually where is the Mortal
Special
Kombat
features, shooters.
inside the minds that brought us fatalities, babalities, and incredible digitized
None of
graphics
these games, okay. At the very end, I recognize the last two, but shooters is like they have reviews of Tempest 2000,
for the
Sub
Jaguar. Wow.
Subterranea for the Genesis, Grindstormer for the Genesis,
The
Rebel
heck's that?
Assault for Sega CD, Microcosm for the Sega CD, and then previews with the capital V for some reason of Super R-Type 3 on Super NES and Soul Star for the Sega CD.
Wow. Previews. That's their proprietary preview section, I guess. Previews. Yeah, almost none of these. Obviously, R Type 3 for the SNES I played. Super R Type, that was good. I think Soul Star for Sega CD I have tried, but most of the other ones, no. Tempest 2000 was huge for the Jaguar. People that own Jaguars were probably waiting for 2 years before a halfway decent game came out, and then it was just a remake of some 80s game. So it was very bittersweet, but there it was, it finally. And I bet you that's highly reviewed in here.
Wait, they put an image of the cover inside the magazine? Unhinged.
I was just gonna think, you know what though? Maybe that's an image. Maybe they did a specialty cover. You know, sometimes on the table of contents they'll show
Oh,
you the
sure.
alternate color. So let's flip back real fast and check that because I was curious about that too. Actually, no, that's the
No,
same
it's
cover.
the same cover.
So it's weird. So look what this is. The systems of the day. Genesis. So they were still noting the 16-bit systems as the premier systems. Look, Genesis and
Oh,
SNES
yeah,
released it
that was the
first.
prime. There was the other stuff was on the horizon. It was not
Okay, so this
there
stuff
yet
wasn't quite out. So Jaguar was, but it still
because
wasn't.
PlayStation was 95.
What about 3DO and CDI? Those were out, but they just weren't popular enough, maybe? Were they out now? It feels like they might have been.
I think 3DO was out.
It was, yeah, but they're still not at the top of the list because they're not.
CDI was just like
That was dead in the water, right? People
that
didn't
was a
like
dead
it
in the
back then.
water. Like that was just they're just putting as many things as they can on there. Like what the crap's the Duo?
Oh, that's the turbo graphics with the CD player, I think. And that
Right.
was
Okay.
not, I don't even think that got sold in many places in the US. It was very
Right.
unpopular. I never saw it in store. I don't think I ever saw that in a store. All right, we're flipping back through. Now we get more content. Second page of content. So Sonic 3 is out. This is good times, I guess. And we got Game Genie buzz codes. Oh, this is sick as hell. But weird games they're giving you codes
Oh
for,
wait,
right?
they had to put the more contents on the next
It's
page.
jam packed with content, and there you get a
It's
picture
jam
of
packed with
Tempest 2000.
ads, is what it is.
Yeah, they have an advertisement. So who's purchasing ads for the first page of the table of contents? Wow, yeah, that's crazy. So many ads, but the ads were fun back then. I don't know. I
Yeah.
remember as
I
a
mean,
kid, I
putting
loved
codes in an
ads.
ad is that's a
I
flex right
mean,
there.
without the internet back then, advertisements were a source of information as well, you know, like a much more valuable source than today. So you actually, I remember when I was a little kid, I was excited about advertising too, because it was like, well, at least I can get some info on this game, even if it's manipulated. So they do have some good ones here. Streets of Rage 2. Geez, you're happy if you have a Game Gear. Streets of Rage 2 and Road Rash. Bonk's Adventure. There's Bonk for the NES. Some codes
Yeah.
here I'm looking at. And then Mega Man X. That's decent codes, I guess. Double Weapon.
Wait,
What? I can't quite read that.
Bonk's Adventure for the NES?
For
What?
the NES. Yeah, that got converted to the NES. That's a surprise to me, too. I don't remember that version.
I might vaguely.
I'm surprised because I
Yeah.
thought NES and
I think that happened, yeah.
weren't they still at war back then though?
Didn't matter.
Nintendo and
They definitely ported
TurboGrafx,
those games. They definitely ported those games.
the TurboGrafx games, huh?
Yeah, the Bonk games.
Wow. Oh, there's your Turbo Duo. Look. Oh wait, no. So that. Oh, that's
Uh,
the Amiga CD, but that looks a lot like the Turbo Duo.
It looks like a lot like a Genesis too. Like,
Yeah. Look at that weird controller. Gosh.
man, they just did not care about readability, huh? They just put all the text you can on there.
Just
Just throw
throw
more text in.
as many fonts as possible.
How
I
many
mean,
colors can we put on this page? All of them? Okay, cool.
the Amiga CD32. I definitely never played the system. I don't think. Did you ever play an Amiga 32? So this was way before. What else was there? What, the Saturn? Was the Saturn 32 bits?
Yeah.
So this was way before the Saturn, right? Because Saturn wasn't till. Or wait, no, I guess Saturn was what, 96 or something? 97
Saturn,
maybe?
I think, was 95.
95. Okay,
I
so
want
this
to
is
say it was
still.
summer 95. Saturn had this weird thing to where, like, it came out before an announcement. Like, it just kind of, like, shipped, like, shadow dropped. It was weird.
Oh yeah, Spectron is saying Saturn is 95. Okay. Yeah, it did shadow drop, right? I don't remember.
Yeah, it was like nobody knew it came out, and then it was when it was coming out, and then it was just in stores all of a sudden,
It was
like
weird
months
because
before the release date.
I remember it coming sort of maybe towards the later stage of that time when Sega was just dropping systems. It felt like every 6 months or eight, with
Right.
between.
Yeah,
Because I
that's
remember
part of
like
what hurt it. Yeah.
there was like a couple versions maybe of the Genesis, then there was the 32X and the Sega CD, and then the Saturn came pretty quick after that. Maybe
Yeah.
there's a tiny bit of gap before the Dreamcast then, but
Because you had Genesis, you had like a new model of Genesis, you had the Sega CD, it's 32X, and then yeah, it felt like when the Saturn came around as being an actual new system, it's like if you're a Sega fan, it's like I just bought all this stuff. What do you mean?
yeah, I know it was kind of that thing. And then the thing about it is, it's funny because it's like, I mean, it was different from now, but not so different in that the different iterations where you're like, well, what is the huge improvement here? It's like the 32X and stuff like that was just like, all right, there was an improvement, but it wasn't like a jump in technology, like 8-bit, 16-bit, all that. So with the Sega stuff, at least, until obviously even the Saturn was powerful, but I guess the Saturn was a pretty big step up, though, wasn't it? You could get some arcade ports on there that looked real good.
Yeah, but it was also this
It's
weird thing
still,
of like they didn't have the library and they
yeah.
didn't have enough time to catch up with the library, so it was a powerful system that wasn't powerful enough to keep compete with PlayStation and never got the library
Oh, the
to like
PlayStation,
really bring people
yes.
over from Genesis.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, think about the PlayStation compared to the Saturn. There's no way. The PlayStation felt like, whoa, this is the next step. Like, hell yes. Oh, God, PlayStation is sick as hell. Did you
But
get a
anyways, knowledge
PlayStation
is
1 or
power
no?
here.
Yeah, look at this. What is going on here? Some games you can. There may be some games you can't rent or buy. So they're talking about rating systems here.
This is all about the
Okay,
violence and
you've
stuff
heard a
that
lot
Mortal
about the.
Kombat started.
So look at this. This was before the rating system was actually implemented, though. They're saying you've been hearing a lot about the possibility of video game rating systems.
It
So funny.
wasn't it wasn't well, maybe yeah, maybe it was right before. I know
That's
Sega had
crazy.
their own rating systems that started before
Oh, you're
ESRB.
you're 100% right. Yeah, later on they're showing this. A few have qualified for Sega's MA17 rating. Whoa, I bet you Night Trap had that, right? People were getting
Yeah.
excited about this. It's like, sneaking into an R movie. 3DO they mentioned they're getting game ratings beginning with
It's
this
funny though
issue.
that don't panic. So
Yeah,
it's like they're very much assuming that the readers are under 17.
of course, yeah. So yeah, listen to this. Beginning with this issue, we'll publish Sega's and 3DO's game ratings. So they were the first systems to start like self-rating. And when the new rating system is ready, we'll publish those ratings also. Not to restrict you, not to encourage censorship, but to inform you. Knowledge, after all, is power. So they're prepping people for the
Yeah.
sea change.
Yeah, because
But ratings.
I feel like it was already on the Super Metroid box by the time that game actually came out.
Yeah, okay, so that's interesting. So we're right at the threshold right here, this watershed moment. But the thing about ratings is I can't ever remember a time when that was enforced. Was it, Blood? Do you ever remember a time when you actually were like, ID'd or not allowed to buy a game in a store, but maybe it's because we were always with our. I was always with my parents when I was purchasing for the most part. But even later in the '90s, when I maybe I still wasn't getting. I'm trying to think. I mean, was it ever
I mean,
enforced?
it's definitely been enforced. I just, like you're saying, I think most of the time kids aren't going to walk up to a counter with $60 or whatever.
Maybe that's what it was. Yeah, maybe it just wasn't the. It was a little different from. Yeah, I'm trying to think because it's like when I first started going to movies, and then when I first, yeah, I guess it was just so far after the rating system was already. Maybe it was just because it already had been around for a few years, so it's like people were already. Oh no, no, not taking it too over serious. World Series baseball, Sega
Prepaid
Sports.
spread.
Yeah, this is big money. They're they're hyping their in the batter's box view. An inside fastball never looked so good. So who knows what that means? The mail, people writing in.
Look how many letters they threw in there. Like these are like two sentences. I have to wonder if they like.
Just wrote them yourselves.
Well, I'm just thinking that like it feels like they must have like just taken like the very last thing, right? Like our
Yeah.
questions are longer than
Oh,
this,
for
you know?
sure. Yeah, they definitely cut. What's that called, right? When you trim it all down.
Yeah, they just like grabbed excerpts from a.
Yes. They're just like publishing all these
Also, like
addresses.
this is like weirdly self-serving here. Like I'm 12 years
Yes.
old and I love video games. I think Sega's ratings are a great idea because they help parents buy appropriate games for their kids. I think Nintendo should have ratings too because killing in their games, even if there isn't graphic violence.
It's so funny.
Like,
Yeah. Immediately
like,
after the knowledge is power, it's like, okay, now here's an opinion, kids. You can you can have this opinion too, kids. Sarah
what
Knight
do the
saying,
words SNK stand for? According to SNK, the initials stand for the Japanese phrase Shin Nihon Kikasu, which roughly translates to New Japanese Experience.
"Wow, I guess I've heard that before and forgotten." Jeez, I probably heard that a couple times. Is that what it really means?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think that's not made up. They asked SNK about that.
Wait, Spectron is that letter by Alan Kahn is so fake. Wait, is that the one you just read? Which one is Alan Kahn?
Or Kikaku. I think I read that wrong.
Oh wait, Alan Kahn. I'm 12
That's the
years
one I
old.
read about the 12 yeah,
Oh, that's the rating one. Yeah,
the
yeah.
ratings
That's
one.
so fake. Oh, that's for sure fake. Yeah.
I
Heads
mean, I
up,
don't think it's
Kano.
necessarily fake, but I mean, cherry picked.
For sure cherry picked. But
Heck, I
it's
might
only
have written that
Kano.
letter when I was 12 years old. I don't know.
That's funny. Look at that one from Chris Cerrone. He says in your November Mortal Kombat Pro Strategy Guide, whose head is Sub Zero holding up? Is it Ken from SF2? And Scary Larry says, wishful thinking, Chris. That'd be a cool trick, but it's only Kano. I remember a lot of those you'd hear those rumors that there would be like, because Street Fighter 2 and Mortal Kombat were such the franchises for years, were just like the ultimate arcade battle. You'd always hear those exotic rumors about like elements, secrets where there's an element from one and the other. Do you ever remember hearing about that? But I remember hearing that kind of thing, that you could do like some code to like get other like do fatalities on Street Fighter characters and stuff. Learn poker from the best in the West. Look at this.
This is hilarious. Just wondering, why are Mario and Luigi known as the Mario Brothers? Wouldn't that make their last name Mario? Thus, Mario's full name would be Mario Mario and Luigi Luigi Mario.
Okay,
You're talking
okay.
about my brother and me. You wouldn't call us the Mike brothers. You'd call us the Jones brothers.
Well, they make a point, but
Michael J. Jones from Sanford, Maine. Uh, no, we call you the Good Point Brothers, actually.
nice.
Nintendo says that their last name really is Mario,
What?
making yeah, that was a thing back then. Remember the Mario movie
Dang
had
it.
that somewhat too.
I still haven't even. I don't even. I think I've seen that movie,
They've
but
gotten away from saying that, I think, though.
that's funny. I don't remember that. I haven't really seen the original Mario movie much. I saw it a little bit when I was younger, maybe, but I barely remember it. It was like so weird.
Oh, they got the envelope of the month. Look at that.
People used to do insane
Look,
art. Look at that
do you
fan
see what
art.
it is though? It's
It's
Sub-Zero and Scorpion, but they swapped the heads with Ryu and Ken.
oh, that's what's going on there. For a second, I was like, why does that look like Wolverine or something? That yes, now I get it. So look at that's what I'm saying. This is insane back then. What was going
That's
on?
good. Like that's not just like taking the official art. Like that's got
That's
some
very
idea
nice.
behind it.
I remember seeing this art people would send in. Fan art on the envelopes was sick as hell. Can you imagine just sending it on an envelope and hoping for the best that it doesn't get
Yeah, I did a
shredded
few.
by the
I did a few, and I
USPS?
was, as far as I know, I was not. I didn't have the foresight to actually take photographs of them.
Yeah, you wouldn't think to do something like that back then. Wait,
So
so
every once in a while, I look at like the Art of Nintendo Power account and like it's
oh,
like,
it'd
do
be
I
so
recognize anything
cool.
in here? You know?
Dude, if only there was, if you did take photos, that would be such a sick thing to look over now. Go through some of your old envelope art you sent in.
Yeah,
Even letters, I would love to read that.
yeah,
More
yeah. Because I
envelope.
had not only did I like send letters, but like there were a few times where like I got like replies back from Nintendo from whoever was in their
That's so
communications
rad.
department.
That's so rad. So look at this full motion video poker game for the 3DO, I guess.
Oh yeah, in
It's,
teleplay.
it's so funny. So it's probably like just the
Cowboy
simplest.
Casino.
It was probably like insanely
This
simple.
is like proto Red Dead right here.
It'd be great if we figured out Red Dead put a nod for this game in there somewhere. We got to play this thing. Track down a 3DO.
Is this 3DO? It looks like it's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
P. Oh
It
wait,
has the
there's a
tiny
3DO
little.
logo. But that
Yeah.
box looks like a PC box art, so it must be on both.
It does, yeah, for sure. I see something that says PC there, but it's tiny. Yeah, but it's
Ma
definitely
Multimedia PCs, I think what it says. So it's on both. Yeah,
look at
PC
this.
or 3DO.
You ever come across this game? This Nigel Mansell's World Championship? You ever play that as a kid, Blood? I've never heard of it.
I don't think I ever played it, but I was aware of it.
Oh, you were? Really? I haven't heard of that one. It looks like it had pretty good graphics from the tiny little thumbnail pictures.
Yeah,
For
for Super
Genesis,
Nintendo.
I think it's Genesis or now available. Oh, maybe it was already on Super Nintendo. Yeah, obviously because it has Nintendo Power, so it's just now available on Genesis. I guess that's what they're advertising
Oh,
here.
Genesis and the Nintendo Entertainment. Oh, it also came out on NES.
Interesting. Nigel Mansell. The
So
Jethro
yeah,
made
so originally
Final
came out
Fantasy
on Super
VI
Nintendo and then they
envelope art.
ported it to the other systems. Got it.
Yeah, so you saw the SNES version, huh?
I mean, I just remember the name because Don, I brought this up a few times, but one of the things I did with um my crazy organizational brain as a kid,
Yeah.
uh, so with Nintendo Power, I had a in high school I had a 286, um,
Nice.
that my mom had just bought off of a guy, off of like a classified ad. And so it already had like some programs on it. And one of the programs it had was a spreadsheet program. And I used that to create a Nintendo Power Index.
Oh my, this
Um,
is rad.
and so basically, any game that was mentioned, I would have a line for that game. And then every issue that that game was brought up in and the page number that it was on.
My goodness,
So
dude! You
whenever
created like
somebody,
a what would it be? It would be like an
it's a
analog
database.
database. Yeah, an
Yeah.
analog database. It's
So
sick as
basically,
hell.
anytime somebody like at school or whatever would need
Whoa,
to know something
dude,
about a game or I'd need to look up a game, like I would have that entry and I'm gonna be able to go to every issue of Nintendo Power and
that
find out
is
exactly what they said about
so
it.
freaking rad. I was such an information hound as a kid for game stuff like this, like just wanting, always seeking, when I go to the store, for instance, I would just, if there's 12 different whatever, there probably weren't 12, but just whatever odd magazine, I'd be like scanning them as fast as I could because I knew we weren't going to buy them all. I just wanted to absorb all information. So like, boy, if I was your friend back then, I would have been I would have been flipping through that your database. That sounds so rad. That was a lot of work. How long did you keep that up for, I wonder? Any idea? Was it more than a
Uh,
year? It couldn't have been. Was it like a
yeah, no,
season?
I definitely had kept up with it for a few years, but I don't remember how long exactly, or if I have
Oh,
even like potentially if I have the file somewhere, if I could open it or not.
if you could find that. Oh, I wondered. So do you even know if that 286 is that wrapped in plastic in a garage somewhere, or you
Oh,
any
I think
idea
that's
if it?
long gone, the actual
Yeah, unfortunately.
286 itself. But I
But
might have
you.
put it on like a floppy disk.
Oh, gosh, how in the heck would you even? You'd have to buy some used computer to use a floppy disk nowadays, right? How would you see a floppy
I'm sure
disk
you could get an external drive that would
that
work.
takes a floppy disk? Dang.
Yeah, like I'm sure there's probably like a floppy drive that goes to USB.
Oh yeah, Jethro calling out when magazines came out with demo discs. That was the best of times. Absolutely right. Was that PS1 times when that started happening? It must have been right. Was it that early or was it PS2?
No, there are definitely PS1 demo discs.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would say PS1 is when that started.
Print it out on some dot matrix. That would be perfect, Blood. If you find that file, print out a hard copy on a dot matrix printer you find, and we'll publish that thing. Let's see what's next. Flip the page. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Sega CD. Oh look, Blood.
More art. Yeah.
More art. A lot more art.
Nice.
Look at
A
this
lot of Street
stuff.
Fighter. Looks like Charles Barkley there.
Chun Li, obviously, with her
Simpsons.
spinning bird kick, mid spinning bird kick, which I love. The
Can't tell.
Simpsons. Yeah, what the heck is the upside down guy facing us? Wait, is that? I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I can't really zoom in any further on this,
Yeah,
but
it's tiny. I could try to zoom in, but I don't know if it'll be that great.
it's like look at the way the layout is. It's like you've got that and then another ad
That's
right
wrong.
there.
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
can't even tell at first. You like at first I didn't even notice the art. I just thought it was a part of the ad. The first thing my eyes went to were the Sega CD cover art, and then I'm like, oh, that's part of the ad. And then wait, oh, when they refocused, I was like, wait a second. So this is a bummer that you got to share space with ads like this. If you're putting together this kind of art, you'd wish they printed a little bigger. I mean, look at this stuff. That close up of just Chun Li's profile over like on the right
Yeah.
side, it looks
That's
really
very
nice.
good.
I'd like to see that bigger.
Anonymous.
And it's anonymous. What in the hell? I would like to see that bigger. That could be full page spread for sure.
Oh, Rocket
Crazy.
Knight Adventure. That's what that one is. Yeah, I can't
Oh
quite make out what
yeah, the Rocket
the
Knight
kid
Adventure.
under the tree is.
That's the one I'm trying to figure out. It almost looks like what the heck is that old Nintendo? Not a boy and his blob or something. Is it one of the? You know what I mean? One of those weird ones. I don't know. I don't see a blob anywhere, so maybe that's not. It feels like something I'd know. If I could see it a little bigger, I might be able to recognize it. This is classic Sega CD stuff here, though. Look at this. You're very excited because you're saying Sega CD, this advanced piece of technology. I can't wait to see what the game is. But look at the little pictures. You can tell this game is not a technical marvel. I mean, who knows?
Right.
Maybe it's doing some mathematics of some simulation stuff that you don't couldn't do on the other systems. But graphically, it's not impressive.
It's probably got some like FMV intro or something.
It must have some intro or something. But I'm surprised they wouldn't show a frame of that to sell it a little
Right.
more. So this game couldn't have sold too well. I've never heard of it. Oh wait, Third World War. Yeah, I don't think I remember that one. Clay Fighter was huge on the other hand. Were you a fan of Clay Fighter ever?
Yeah, I really love those early Clay Fighter games for sure.
I can't
100%.
Yeah, I can't remember which one I played because it was so long ago, but it was extremely impressive. There was a period of time in the 90s when claymation was kind of huge across all media, right? It got very
Don, so I've been
popular.
looking through my documents, right?
Okay, okay, okay.
Remember how I was telling you the other day
Yeah.
about, when it was raining and you grabbed that Ubisoft umbrella and like how they used to send us like Christmas gifts every year?
Yes, yes.
So and I'll catch Chad up for this. So like I've got like socks and I've got
Yeah.
the umbrella. I've got a picnic blanket that's like soft on one side but slick on the other, so it doesn't get soaked. When you put it on wet
Oh, that
grass or
sounds
whatever.
class. That's very nice. Yes.
I've got like a little like plastic bento box thing to take your lunch to work. But looking through my docs, they also pandemic era, they're like, oh, what do we send? What do we send during the pandemic? So 2021 Christmas from Ubisoft, they sent me a certificate for a tree planted in my name
Oh wow.
in Appalachia.
Oh, that's nice. Wow, do you still have that? I wonder if we could visit the tree, see how
Yeah,
it's
like
turned out.
I don't have like coordinates. I don't have latitude and
Dang it.
longitude for where this tree is.
Dang it. They didn't carve your subscription number into it or something. That's a pretty nice gift. That's one that makes you feel good. What
Yeah.
was that? Someone said something I wanted to.
Screaming Argonaut, we must find the blood tree.
Yeah, the blood tree. We must seek the blood tree. What was the original
Appalachia is a
retail
big
price on it?
place. It's
Yeah,
a
and there's a
big,
lot of trees.
yeah.
I think that's dense forest, right? What was the original? I don't know what the original retail price on Sega CD. I want to say like 299, which was actually like a lot back then, but I could be wrong. If anybody knows, I don't know. I mean, I could look it up, but I want to say 299. It couldn't have been 399, could it? Back then, that would be too much.
For what?
The original Sega CD price, maybe it was 399. I remember it was
Oh,
very
for the
impressive,
Sega
expensive.
CD.
Yeah, the system when it first
Ooh,
came out, it must have
because
been
it's just an
299, 399.
expansion thing too.
It was still crazy expensive. That's right. It wasn't even a standalone unit. I tend to forget that. I
I
always
don't know
forget
what a
that.
Sega CD price was.
I'm gonna
I could
guess
see it going
299.
either way. I could see it being 199 or 299 or even like 149 or something.
I feel like it was more at first because I want to say like all the systems back then were about 199. Is that what they? Oh, okay, wasn't Sega? Well, Jethro thinks it was 200, but not sure. The
I'm gonna
32X was
I'm looking
100.
up the wiki here says, let's
The
see, what do we got?
32X was only 100, huh? Wow, I thought there would. I would have
It
said
was
150.
299 introductory price.
Wow. So that was a lot of bread back then, though, for
That
an
was a lot
add-on. That's an add-on.
for an
Good
add-on,
point.
yeah.
Yeah. So that was a lot of money. You're probably spending close to 500 bucks just for the hardware, which was a lot for a game system back then. So
Well,
then
the Genesis would have been cheaper at that point.
it
Oh,
would
and
have been
also
what?
Sega CD
150?
Sega CD had two different variations as well for the different Genesis types. So the original
Yes.
Genesis, it fit just directly under,
That
and
one I
then
like.
the later Genesis model, they
Side by
basically
side.
were side by side. It looked like a little
Yeah.
Discman sitting next to the Genesis.
I always thought the first one was more impressive of a design, whatever you want to call that hardware design. What is it?
Yeah.
I love the shape of that system. Something about it looked so futuristic. That's a lot for their parents. Yeah, that's a lot. That's a ton of money. But I'm trying to think, what was the Neo Geo? Because the Neo Geo was unobtainable. So I want to say it
Oh,
was
yeah,
something
yeah.
insane like 600 because it was just unobtainable. You're like, ah, I don't even. It's so far out of the realm of ownership. The
Yeah.
games were like, even back then, I think the games were 150 or $200. It was like,
Introductory price 649 on Neo Geo.
woo! Can you? That'd be like now a console being like $1,500 or something like that. Where you're just
Right.
like, for the console, what?
Yeah.
And the 3DO was crazy too, but I think maybe slightly less than Neo Geo even still. But it was, yeah, rich kid pricing for sure. I knew people.
32X was, yeah, 32X was cheaper. That was 159.
I never had that.
Um,
A lot of I had some wealthy friends, and they had some 3DOs, but I never knew someone with the home Neo Geo console. That was the only. I think I had a friend that had almost every system
3DO
except for.
actually was more expensive, 700 in true.
Whoa! I remember when my friend got a 3DO. Gosh, that was exciting. That was insanely exciting.
How much was that horrible CDI?
That yeah. I remember like window shopping at a J.C. Penney or something. They carried that thing at the weirdest stores. It wasn't at like Toys R Us and all the normal places you'd find video games. You had to go to some weird like clothing stores to find the CDI where I lived. I'm pretty sure it was J.C. Penney or something, and they're like the J.C. Penney electronics department, which is depressing in itself. And you're looking at the CDI trying to figure out. Come on,
CDI
man.
initially priced around $1,000.
Well, Sarah Knight's saying 294 would only be 405 today, which doesn't sound like a lot at all, but it seemed like so. Maybe just the pricing of games. I don't know. That seems like a lot.
Yeah, it seems to be a little under double. So like they're saying when the CDI came out at $1,000, it would be equivalent to 1,989 in 2021. So basically, if you take any price of the day and double it, you'd have the equivalent. roughly.
Wait, yeah, the CDI came out at how much? How much was that one?
$1,000.
What on earth? I didn't remember that. Oh
Because none of
god.
us ever played that thing.
No, but I didn't even remember the price was that insane. Holy smokes. What was so what it would only what would it do? I mean DVDs weren't happening yet. It could just play CDs and then games on CD. That's it,
Yeah, it was just
right?
games on CDs. Yeah.
So what the heck was the deal with it? That's insane. I do remember it being at a weird clothing store though. That would be the only place I'd be able to see that thing. And I kept trying to convince myself to be interested in it, but like the games, they were not there.
And then the Saturn was 399.
Wow, that was pretty pricey too.
Yeah, that's a killer. Uh, because the
Nintendo always was
PlayStation,
affordable.
um, oh wait, I gotta go back to Wikipedia because if I just put PlayStation into Google, it gives me everything else.
Hold on
Um,
now. I think Spectron is saying they had a Neo Geo. Is that true? Are you saying you had a Neo Geo Spectron? Oh my god, I want to
nice.
go to your house if that's true. I love Neo
Yeah, so the
Geo.
Saturn was $100
Oh, a
more than the
CDI.
PlayStation.
Spectron had a CDI. They had a CDI.
Oh,
So I still would have want to. I would have want to try to take that thing for a test spin. You know, I still haven't. I've watched playthroughs of those Zelda games, but I've still never played any. Like I've watched playthroughs of CDI games, but I've still never had my hands on one.
mm.
If your family still had it, Spectron, I bet they played Hotel Mario and Zelda and beat both. Wow. Then I guess that's hard, huh?
But Don, the PlayStation was 299 and the Saturn was 399.
Woo,
And the
pricey.
PlayStation is a better
The
console.
PlayStation was just the ultimate killer when that thing came out. Oh, it was so badass. Tekken, dude. I just remember
I'm
everything
trying to
about that.
remember exactly how much the N64 was. Let's see.
One good dog says they have a CD now. I know it's the worst. Still the worst. Dang it. I would like to try it though. One good dog. Let's try this thing out. Which one, Blood? You're wondering? N64.
You
I think that was
okay,
250.
yeah, I think it's 250. Oh wait, I'm looking at the
N64.
wrong thing.
Nintendo's did.
Um,
Yeah, 250. I mean, even the Wii. How much was the Wii? Wasn't that only 250 or something, or was that 299? It's unbelievable how cheap Nintendo's
Originally
systems.
intended to be priced at 250. A console ultimately launched at 199. That's
The
what I
the
thought.
N64.
Yeah.
Whoa, that sounds insanely cheap.
Yeah.
Dang, I do remember there was massive shortage of that system. It was hard to get one. Like if you didn't get one immediately, it was selling out like crazy. The cartridges
Oh,
were expensive.
I got that game we were talking about, so I'm gonna send that over to you right now.
Yeah. I'm flipping the page. Uh-oh, VR virtuality. What on earth is this? There's virtual reality happening in 1994. I bet you didn't know that. What is this
Yes.
system I'm looking at? What the heck?
Let me look
Virtuality's
at.
new Visette 2 visor? I don't remember this thing. Zone Hunter, Extreme Strike, Virtuality Boxing.
Oh, this is a clear. Yeah, this is like fake VR. This is just like a display on your face kind of
What's
thing.
it
Yeah.
running on, though? I wonder. I mean, what's the system? I wonder that's connected to. It can't be in the visor, the hardware, right?
Um,
The graphics don't look half bad.
yeah.
Anybody know what this thing is? Anybody remember one of these?
Let me look.
Virtuality? This is 94. VR was a thing in the early mid 90s.
The background on this is making this very hard to read.
I know. What's that texture they put? This is a 90s thing. They print magazine and then they put some odd texture on the paper where you're trying to see the words. N64 games. Some people are Sumo is saying N64 games, some of them were more than $69.99. Is that true? I
Yeah,
guess
so
some of
I
them were like
think
Super Street Fighter 2 probably. I think I've seemed to remember was like something crazy.
Don, I think that this is like arcade level stuff. Like you wouldn't buy this and take it home.
Okay. Oh, it was something you went somewhere and rented or something. You used
Yeah.
at a store. That makes sense. Yeah, hardware that someplace would own. Okay, Sarah Knight informing me I can zoom in on this stuff and it'll be fine. So let me know if you want me to zoom in on any of this. I can zoom in. Oh, I see. Actually, there's built-in. Oh, whoops. Well, can you zoom in? Oh, I see. On the interface, I can zoom in like that. So if there's anything you want to see, whoops. Whoops. Oh, I can flip like that too. How fun. And Miss Pac-Man. Odd that this was being sold. I didn't like things like Pac-Man and stuff when I was a kid. I remember in the 90s because it felt so 80s. In the 80s, we kind of shunned 80s gaming when I
Right.
was growing up because we were like, that's just
Oh,
the past.
Sarah Knight put the Wikipedia for the virtuality thing, and that same photo they have of that woman in the headset, but
Yeah.
it's like she's inside of an aquarium, and then she has this controller with this like long telephone cord on it.
Whoa.
Um,
So
and it's
imagine
a
you had to pay. This was probably by the minute you rented this thing, I guess. I mean,
I
you couldn't
remember
have.
you'd pay like $25 at the state fair or something like that to play it, for I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah, and it was probably running at like 10 to 15 frames a second max, right?
Um, I'm reading through the wiki to see what I can find out about.
Yeah, Miss Pac-Man, of course, as I've grown older, grown to absolute love it. It's a friggin' masterpiece. But when I was a
Resolutions of
kid,
276 by 372 pixels.
wow, it's actually. I mean, we think of that now and we say, "What on earth? What are you looking at?" But it's funny. Laser discs didn't even have very good resolution back then, and that was
Um,
considered cutting edge.
right.
So the company's still working in virtual reality. RF Switch is telling us optoelectronics technology. So maybe they're
The
just working on
2000
hardware.
series, that's probably the one that they're showing off in there. Introduced in 1994, powered by an Intel 486 PC.
Oh, I remember. I that was like our first computer when I was a little kid. We got a 486, and I was pumped. Are you seeing this now? What I just opened?
Let me see.
This is actually a diversion. Who sent this?
Oh,
Detoid sent Toys R Us 1999 video game section photo. Oh, this is 99. Okay. So wait. So why the heck do they have all these N64s in 99? Wasn't this past the N64's time? Maybe
no, no.
not.
This is a Prime N64 time. This is
Oh,
when Smash Brothers came out.
Toys R Us. Was
So
it? Gosh,
that's why you would want those controllers.
I guess it was, huh? These taking a second to load because they're big image prism, whatever the heck.
Yeah, there's an expansion pack right
What the heck's
there.
the
There's,
what's prism though? What is that? It's a case for your N64 that you put it inside of or something? Like a sleeve, a protective casing?
I can't tell what Prism is.
That thing's
Um,
weird.
but yeah,
Banjo
totally.
Kazooie,
That controller stand is 100% for Smash Brothers.
Game Boy Color. Oh man, look at all those N64 games. There's F Zero X. Oh, it's XX. Never mind, blood.
Yeah. No, F-Zero X is great.
X was good.
Put so much time in that game.
I remember playing that a lot.
Fantastic.
Oh, look at that Game Boy Color. This is good stuff here. Super Nintendo.
Yeah,
Oh,
still big
those
Super
boxes.
Nintendo section even in 99.
And look, a bunch of systems down there. Oh, that box. I just remember. I think that was the first. I guess we did get a Nintendo, but I was like so small, I barely got to play it. But with Super Nintendo, I remember it was like the first one I was playing.
But
Look at
like
all those different
even an
colors.
N64 controller was super affordable compared to nowadays.
Yeah, how much were they? They were only probably like 25 bucks, maybe,
I
or how
want to
much
say
were
they were
they?
20 or 30 bucks, yeah.
Yeah, it's insane the price of controllers now. It's really sad. Game Boy Color. Oh,
N64 controllers wore out
PlayStation.
a lot faster. They didn't really.
A small little PlayStation.
They only really broke down if you had the Mario Party nonsense. Um,
Yeah, I remember mine being pretty durable on my N64. Is that what you're talking?
yeah. Yeah, I think the other issue you know, it's just really a matter of uh handling or wear and tear kind of thing is that they had because analog sticks were still new, they had a dry lubricant um inside of them.
Oh,
It was
yeah,
like a
the
dust,
stick.
and remember, like sometimes you would see the dust start to come up through the
Yes,
thing.
I remember
And
this.
so it's essentially me and my friends had two different methods of fixing this this problem. Um, because what would happen is that the dust would sort of get compacted, and so it would be kind of create like this grinding sensation.
I
You know,
remember
it's
coming across controllers like this. Yeah.
and it would in extreme cases it would make it hard to move the controller. But what you could do is it really was not that hard to open it up and just like get it all out of there, and then the controller still worked fine, and in some cases it worked better because you didn't have all that stuff in the way.
Oh, that's funny.
But my friend took it a step further, and I forget what he actually put in there, but like he put like Vaseline or something. Like he put like some wet lubricant in there instead of a dry one, and like
Uh-oh, how'd it work out? Was it
I mean
okay?
he loved it.
Oh, good. So it didn't
Yeah.
mess it up in any way.
It
And it
didn't
was
mess
probably
it up
smooth.
because
It was probably
it
super
is
smooth then.
like a contained box, right? There's but still probably not the best idea to
Yeah.
put liquids into your electronics.
Oh, M-Bun remember. Yes, I remember that too, M-Bun. M-Bun talking about they remember their stick just becoming floppy. I do remember that where the stick on your N64 like wouldn't get the spring tension anymore and it would just sort of like blip 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 be there kind of a little loose. You ever come across one of those?
Yeah, like yeah, there'd be like a little bit more of like play in the stick.
Yeah, it would kind of just
You
be a
could
little
still
bit.
use it okay, but it would have like a little wiggle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. There wasn't that tightness there. So look at that. I stopped on this picture because they have Excite Bike 64, which is a sick game, and that's coming out. But what the heck? It's not out yet. What's the deal with this game? Is it coming soon, Blood? It's going to be released on
Yeah,
Switch
they
online.
tease us, and then
Why so far in advance? This game should be out already. I want to play it.
they did say Pokemon Stadium on the 12th though.
Oh, that's good too. I have very fond memories of Pokemon
I'm
Stadium. It's
very
been a little while.
confused as to how that works though, because it's like the whole idea with Pokemon Stadium is you would take your Game Boy game and
Yeah.
use your own Pokemon, and like the rental Pokemon were like, yeah, sure, whatever, but
Right.
you wanted to use your own Pokemon on it, and I wasn't clear from the email how that works or if that works in any way.
I don't
Look,
know.
they've got little cards for Perfect Dark there. Um,
What?
are those pre-order cards
Where?
or because if it was 99, Perfect Dark wasn't out yet.
I don't even. Oh, there they are. Yeah. What is that? Maybe they're pre-order boxes. They'd put the boxes out sometimes, right? In their
Yeah.
pre-order. Look at that. I didn't know they had a Pokemon Stadium set. That's awesome.
Somebody asked if the mini games used rental Pokemon. Mini games are just mini games. They didn't really use your Pokemon at all. It was just the actual main tournament stuff that used your Pokemon. It also allowed you to play your Pokemon game on the TV using the transfer pack.
Oh man, that must have been nice. There's your Excitebike 64. Shut down though. They have it off, unfortunately. The display. It's just a display unit. Oh no, they have the controllers there, so you could play it. You could play Excitebike 64.
I still have my transfer pack, but it doesn't work anymore. I'm starting to get like a pile of those things. Like I have this, but it stopped working, so I have to get it fixed. My Dreamcast doesn't work.
I have two.
My NES is basically doesn't work. I have to like once in a while I can get it to run.
Oh, what a bummer.
Um, and yeah, my GameCube now is got to get a real fix.
Oh, look at that
Uh,
Star Wars Racer N64 edition. That'd be a nice little pickup
yeah.
if you didn't have it already at that point. I mean, that was late in the N64, wasn't it? Star Wars Racer
Episode 1 race. I mean, that came out with the movie. That was 99.
99. So wait, yeah, I guess N64 was still going strong for a little while. Huh? Well, when was the GameCube? Wasn't it very
GameCube was end of
2000?
2001, and there were still
2001.
yeah, there's still N64 games coming out in 2001 and even a little bit later.
Look at these nice hard copy strategy guides they have there on the left.
Yeah.
Those
I'd
were nice.
say yeah, 2000 was probably like the last year for big games. Like you have Perfect Dark, you have Majora's Mask. Um, maybe Paper Mario was 2000. I forget what year Paper Mario was.
Oh my God, Detoy Jordan talking DT Detoy Jordan talking about they always wanted to do one of those competitions where you fill your shopping cart with as much as you can grab. Which game was it? Nick Arcade or was it a different one where the bonus round and the it was a video game show and then the bonus round at the end they get to run through the little video game store and like they had Velcro on their suit and they would get to stick as many items to the Velcro and their helmet and everything. They had like consoles and everything. Do you remember that, Blood? Did you ever watch that show? Someone's
Yeah.
got to remember that.
Yeah,
God, that was my
I've seen clips of
fantasy.
that recently.
Oh, I would do that in my living room. I'd build a little shop. I'd build like an obstacle course and then spread around all my video games everywhere. And I, with my friend, we'd take turns of timing each other, trying to run through and like simulate that round. I wanted to do that too. I've always
What
wanted to
is
go
the
on a shopping
twisting
spree.
controller on the shelf there? Are you talking about the Ultra Racer? Is that one? Is that one you're
Oh
talking about?
yeah, yeah. Look at
It
that, the
looks
Ultra Racer.
like the little wheel.
It's got one of those knobs, yeah. So there's just not many games, but a game like Tempest 2000, it's sick for it. But it's an outdated kind of control scheme, right? Those wheels are big on
Yeah,
HD
I don't
games.
I guess that would be, it says Ultra Racer 64. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's some third party weirdness.
For racing games, it might be okay. Did you ever use one of those for a racing game? The little wheel for left right?
Never.
No? Huh.
Yeah.
I'm curious if it
I
would
feel like
be
that
a
would be
good.
weird.
Yeah, it could
There
be.
were a lot of good racing games on N64 though.
Oh, here we have a close up of some of these ones. The Super
Some
Pad.
discounted Super Nintendo stuff.
Yeah, it's on its way out.
I
Here.
remember, yeah, you could still get Super Nintendo stuff after 2000 because
Wow.
I actually lost a lot of my original stuff because my yeah, somebody basically broke into my room
Oh my.
the first place I was at in LA, and like,
Oh wow.
and what was weird is it's like they basically just grabbed my Super Nintendo stuff,
Oh, what a burn.
including some games that I had just like recently like purchased off of eBay and stuff.
That's nasty.
I was able to find a store where like I was just able to get like this big bundle. Like they had the Super Nintendo with like just a whole bunch of games wrapped up in a big plastic thing. Is like, so there are a lot of games I didn't even really want, but they came in the bundle and it was
Oh,
like
that's
fairly
funny.
cheap. So I was like,
That
all
must
right.
have been exciting to buy a game bundle.
But that's why I have the newer style Super Nintendo, the super light one.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
Project Reality 64-bit game system. Yes.
yeah, yeah, I was all over that Project Reality stuff.
Yeah,
and
that
and
was
they were
exciting.
showing stuff so early that it was just like they just had these stock photos of things from high-end supercomputers, just renderings from silicon
Yeah.
graphics. It's
Yeah,
like
I
this is
remember
what the
that kind of
games are going to
stuff.
look like. This is great.
Yeah, I
And of
remember
course
that stuff.
not. Nothing
Just
nothing even
drooling. I still remember they hyped up at the arcades, right? When they were releasing Cruisin'
Cruising USA and Killer Instinct were
Killer
essentially
Instinct.
marketing vehicles for the N64.
I would go into the arcades and look at those, and I'd almost black out, saying, "Are you kidding me? This is what the N64 is going to look like." It was so far before it actually came out, though. Then, huh?
Yeah.
And
Cruising
it
USA
was
was
real
actually
close.
pretty close. The
Cruising
arcade and the
USA, they did a
N64
nice
version.
job. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Um,
actually, the what was it, Killer Instinct Gold? I
Kill
mean, it came out a long time after, but that was a great game too.
Yeah, it took longer for the N64 to come out. So Killer Instinct Gold was already after Killer Instinct 2.
Yeah,
Um,
right.
but yeah, it actually ran really well. It was 60 frames per second. Uh, First game I had ever heard anybody mention frame rate in was
Yeah,
Killer
that's a
Instinct
good
Gold.
point, huh? Probably, yeah. First time I
And
remember
you
that
could
kind of thing
tell.
being talked about.
Also, what's crazy too, Don, is with the older systems, particularly N64, uh, we had to use, remember the scan converter? It's in the closet
Yeah,
still,
yeah, yeah,
but we had to use the scan converter to get all these weird outputs and formats and stuff to, record into something that we
yeah,
could cut at game trailers.
yeah,
Um, and with the scan converter, you could actually see what it was outputting, whatever the signal is outputting, the resolution and the refresh rate and all that stuff. And when you put in a game like Killer Instinct Gold,
yeah.
it would actually like cycle between like different modes. It would be like one thing for like the opening credits menu or whatever, and then be another thing when you're like selecting characters, and then be another thing in actual gameplay. So yeah, SD analog signals were a whole different ball of wax.
Yeah, no kidding.
Modern equipment would just be like constantly losing the signal.
Yeah. Well, this is a good thing to look at this. Alien versus Predator, an official Hall of Greats nomination. Blood, we didn't know that. 94. Wow. I can't believe this was 94. So I was already lurking around
And that's
arcades.
that's
I remember
arcade,
this.
right? It's really interesting
Yeah.
that they have arcade games in here. I like it.
Yeah, they still, arcades were strong enough. They're still influential enough that they were featured in magazines. So this is a new game coming, I guess, about to come out, Alien vs. Predator. My goodness, that game was sick as hell in the arcade.
It's also interesting to think about what that coverage must have been like for them. Like, did they fly these guys in to
I
play these
think they
games?
might have.
Or did
Yeah, I
they
think.
just give them a press release and screenshots and like, here, put a blurb in? Because it's
Well,
like
right,
they're
yeah.
not reviewing it, right? They're just telling you what the game's about.
In most cases, they probably just send him a VHS tape with some like assets.
Right.
Not even assets, but yeah, or like maybe some stills. But you're right. Most of the time, they didn't get any hands on in some of this stuff. Too difficult to do. Too expensive.
Believe it or
How did they do
not,
the
this one
screenshots?
rips.
Yeah, how did they get the screenshots? They must have just. I mean, did they give them glossies that they were scanning back then? Who knows how the heck they were giving him
Um,
press shots?
I don't know in every case. I do know that a lot of the maps and stuff in Nintendo Power were painstakingly photographed.
Oh, that
Like,
was so impressive how they do that.
yeah, they like
Piece them together.
photograph, and then like piece it all together. And that's why you sometimes you would see like slight color differences and that kind of thing.
Ah, gosh, I used to like just flipping through. I
Oh,
could read over and over.
Richard Ledbetter from Digital Foundry explained how they made screenshots back in those days. I don't
Ah,
know where that reference might be, but that's good
yeah.
info to have. Yeah.
Track that down. I
Because
loved
it,
how they
it
did those
is
maps.
interesting because you have to, I mean, you'd need a clean shot for print. Like you don't want scan lines and pixels and stuff.
Yeah,
And you
and
would
they
have
didn't.
refresh rates to worry about.
Yeah, it's a good call. Yeah, you're just talking about just getting screenshots during gameplay and stuff.
Yeah, well, yeah, getting screenshots to put into a magazine.
While yeah, right. Gosh, it was
Super, yeah, it
incredible.
was super elaborate. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a thing. Like that's sort of what the game changer has been, right? Like not just that YouTube exists, but the home technology that you can just pick up $100 Elgato or whatever, or even just push
Or
the
just
freaking
capture
share
in
share
console.
button.
Yeah,
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 share
capture
button
in
on a
console.
PlayStation, right? And there you go. There's your screenshot.
Yeah, it's getting very nice.
Whereas like
Can you?
even when I started at game trailers, it was like, here's your $20,000 HD video deck,
Yes, yeah,
and here's your $10,000 scan converter.
yeah.
No, they cost more than that.
Probably
No, they
fifty
did cost
thousand.
more.
They probably were
Yeah,
fifty
yeah, I
thousand.
think there was more along like that. Because I remember one time that like freaking Southwest lost the case. Like they'd sent
Oh,
it. I was going
yeah.
from Austin and back to LA,
Oh,
and somehow they sent the case with the gear in it to like Denver,
uh huh.
and like I had my boss breathing down my neck on that to
I
make sure
imagine
that I
so.
got it because it's like it was literally more than my year's salary,
Yeah, I was
for
just gonna
that
say it was
equipment.
probably worth your annual salary. It's insane. What up, War Pig?
And it was like 60 pounds. Always had to get the oversized luggage stuff.
Oh God, the gear! I remember when you guys would go on little trips. The amount of gear, it was like a film production. It was going on. The amount of gear that would get transferred out of
We'd
the.
always have to have those little BNCs, right? Remember the
Yep, the little twisty cables with the.
yeah,
Yeah.
the adapters so that you could actually plug in the component because you couldn't even do HDMI on the stuff most of the time. Particularly PS3, we had to capture everything via component because they didn't have things to break the handshake.
Oh yeah.
Rich Brown and Johnny Chang and Ezra were always looking for stuff
Oh
to
yeah.
try to break HDCP. It was
Yes,
like
that's
this
right.
Pirates alliance going on over there.
The HDCP. Does Nintendo, we were talking about in console, have they done anything yet? Can you still only capture 30 seconds in console, 30-second clips on the Switch, or did they ever change that where you can?
I don't pay enough attention. I would guess it hasn't
Yeah.
changed.
What a bummer. That's the only system that limits you like that, right? I mean, the other ones let you capture like 15 minutes at a time basically if you want, I think.
I don't think Xbox is as much as
Does Xbox
PlayStation
not let
either.
you? Yeah, PlayStation's pretty
It's
nice.
still you can get a couple minutes, but I still have a hard time just because I don't do it frequently enough, like knowing exactly how to get the amount that I want. Because it's like I last night I did like the long press, whatever, right? It's like, here's your clip. Oops, there goes my mic. It's like here's your clip,
Yeah.
and it's like oh no, it's just the last 30 seconds. I wanted more than that. How do I get like the clip that I wanted? Oh well.
Yeah, no kidding. I'm still struggling with it too. It never quite records what I want it to. The PlayStation makes it the best. Sarah, who was it? Sarah Knight. I think I didn't realize I passed by it. Yeah, Sarah Knight was calling out. I think she wants me to see the call out that Tempest.
Mm. Uh, I take a quick
Tempest
research break. I'll be back.
2 page spread for Tempest. All right. Yeah, I didn't even realize it's already 1:15, so we may be wrapping this up soon. But
Yeah, if you
it's
want to wrap now, and then
it's up to you, Blood. Really, you let me know how long we can go longer. It's up to you, really. You got to still make the drive, so you tell
yeah, I
me.
still have to drive down for showcase.
Yeah, this 2 page ad was intense for Tempest 2000. Finally, a decent game, but was for the Jaguar, for all the people suffering. But boy, it was bittersweet because you looked at it and you said, "This doesn't look like 64-bit." And I never played Tempest. I didn't know what the hell Tempest was, so I had no nostalgia for this franchise. It was a fun game though. Tempest 2000. It was well done, but it didn't quite. It was a killer app, but I don't think it was a system seller. Yeah. So what do you think? Up to you, Blood. You want to take a bathroom break and look some more? Or you want to make the trip down here? Start the day. We got a bunch of stuff going on at the
Yeah,
studio today.
I need to shower up and stuff still, so we can go ahead and close it out,
All
or
right.
I can just leave the call and you can keep going.
Yeah, no, we close it out. I'm gonna do some cutting here anyway. So the review scores. Spectron wants to see the review scores. All right, we'll jump to the review scores real quick, and then I'll say goodbye. Blood, I'll bid you adieu. Drive safe. I'm gonna cut off in a minute.
Oh, okay,
Unless you want to see the blood, unless you want to hold it, Blood, and see the review scores. I'm gonna jump ahead to the end. I think they're at the end. It's up to you though. Feel free to
cool.
bail.
No, I'll go ahead and bail, and I'll
All right.
see all of you guys at the showcase.
Sweet. Oh yeah, Blood's got his showcase today. Later, Blood. Drive safe.
See ya.
All right, so Blood's got a showcase later today. Everybody, make sure you tune in for that. That's going to be sick as hell, as I'm sure most of you are already excited about. Oh, look at that. Lethal Enforcers. What was this for? The Super NES game profile? I didn't know that came out for Super NES. What the heck? So, how were Sega and Super Nintendo already in bed together this much back then? I don't know. I didn't think they were, but they seem like they were. These are a couple of games now. We've seen ports on the Super Nintendo that are definitely This was a Sega arcade game, unless I'm wrong. Super. We own the streets this summer. Well, now what's this? This is for Super Street Fighter 2. Boom. Wait, is it that what it's for? What happened? What was that an ad for? It just says Super. Well, it must be for. It's 100% for Super Street Fighter 2, right? All right. Let me jump ahead here. Let's see what they reviewed. Joe and Mac 2 Lost in the Tropics. Sonic 3, they've got a strategy guide, it looks like. That's good times. Now, Sonic 3 also came out on the 32X, I believe. Art of Fighting. Here's a Jaguar ad. Oh, what did you have? Not much. They're still advertising Cybermorph, the pack-in game. Evolution Dino Dudes is a real bummer. Raiden was cool. I mean, that was an arcade port, and I think that was one of the highlights of the Jaguar. But it was a top-down shooter, so it's like limited amount of entertainment you get. Trevor McFur in the Crescent Galaxy, my beloved Trevor McFur. You saw Isla and I played a little bit of Trevor McFur together. She wasn't that impressed, but I think that game holds up okay. It holds up okay. Let's jump ahead fast. Boom, boom, boom. A lot of content in this magazine. Look at this. I mean, you could read through this over and over again. This would keep you busy for many afternoons. Okay, previews. Wario Land. Joe and Mac 2, okay, here's a review. Game Gear's version of Aladdin. And it looks okay. It looks like some mild ratings down there. 3. The graphics are the hottest thing on this thing. That's just the SNES and Genesis version were pretty sweet, right? They're a little tricky though. They had that Lion King Aladdin collection come out recently that was very awesome. I did enjoy that. You even could play, I think, the Japanese version of a couple of them. Captain America and the Avengers, Cosmic Spacehead, Miss Pac-Man. This is a slow month. Zool. For the Game Gear, this is a slow month. Does anyone have any fondness for any of these games? I love this era of magazines too, Bachthand. I gotta say, if you still enjoy looking at print magazines at all, check out this magazine out of the UK. It's called Retro Gamer. I have a subscription to it. It's a little bit larger print format. It's current. They do all kinds of stuff. They do current reviews. They show, like new, retro, everything. They do stuff from the past. It's really, really, really nicely done. High quality printing, nice images. And if you enjoyed this era of gaming magazines and you still want a little bit of that, I'd recommend checking this magazine out. The biggest thing about it is it's from the UK. So I used to find it at the Fry's Electronics before they went out of business, so I could buy it locally. It's got a big cover price, though, high cover price. I think it's like $14 an issue. If you find a place that you buy individual issues. But if you get a subscription, it's actually pretty good. I don't mean to do an ad right here, but I'm doing an ad because it's very good. If you like these magazines, check out Retro Gamer. All right, SWAT Pro. That's it. That's all the reviews they have. Are you kidding me? Now we got into the tips and tricks already. That's it. They have previews for nothing that great. Chase IQ on the Game Boy. That's it. And then they have a review for Aladdin and these 4 Game Gear games. How's that possible? Maybe these are just tucked in the middle, these tricks. SWAT Pro are tricks. They used to give you little tips and tricks. That looks like it. Bunny Rampage, The Fighter's Edge. That's it. That's all the reviews they had. So a very slow month, but an exciting year. Look at this strategy guide. Oh, for Mortal Kombat 2. The GOAT. Good times, good times. Space Ace on the, oh, look, Space Ace on, oh, these are pro shorts. So these are just tiny little previews of new things coming up. Magical Quest. I'm still not 100% on board with the art style in the new, whatever it's called, Illusion Island, but I think it's going to be a very fun game. And when you see it, it's one of those games you play it and you have it in person, it grows on you quickly. Wait, what are these? These are all just still previews. For the Neo Geo, what are they previewing? Spin Master. That's actually a very fun game. I have that on the Switch, the Neo Geo version of the Spin Master. That's a fun co-op sort of action adventure platforming. It's very fun. Fun little game mechanics in that Spin Master. The action just got hotter. Dracula X. There we go. Overseas prospects. Oh, and then in the back you had all the used game ads. And they have a lot of this in Retro Gamer right now, too. They still have a bunch of places doing business like this. Selling and buying used software. Look at this. And it's fun to see the lists in person. All right, everyone. Well, that's about it. Oh, I remember Space Ace, Spectron. Do you have fond memories of Space Ace? I only saw it in the arcade mainly. I passed a lot earlier, Don. I did? Spectron is saying I passed a bunch of reviews. I was going to say, how could it be possible they only had those few reviews? I must have missed some. Let me go back real fast and see what I missed. Hopefully I don't miss it again. I always look for the little faces. How hype. God, these Mortal Kombat images came out dark, though, huh? You can barely make out what you're looking at on those. So some of this stuff was hard to print. These are tricks. There's these reviews. What did I miss? There are the Game Boy reviews. Where are the ones I missed? Oh, these are all reviews. I didn't realize that. Okay, yeah, we have a bunch more. Liberty or Death. Never heard of that one. Hangman's... that's Nobunaga's Ambition. No, it was so small I couldn't read it. I thought it said Hangman's. Nobunaga's Ambition. And these got very mild. Well, the graphics are mild. The control and the fun factor were pretty hype on Nobunaga, as you can see. And on Liberty or Death. I don't remember these games. They were all in the middle. I flipped too quick. I was flying past them. Click on the 4 square icon on the lower right to navigate a lot faster. Whoa. Oh, I suppose I could. Uh-oh. I hope I didn't mess up your view there. I think you can still see it. Whoops. Caesar's World of No Contest of Boxing No Contest. So here's some CDI games. Look at tennis. A perfect 10. Holy smokes. Were you aware? Who was it in chat was saying they have a CDI right now? Have you ever played International Tennis Open? Is that the name? I think it's International Tennis Open. Because Game Gear is giving it a perfect 10 or a perfect 5 in their case. Spectron never played it. Wow, you got to track that one down. Track down CDI Tennis. It's a perfect 10. One Good Dog never played it. Bring it to Hog. Should I? Can't see the magazine. Yeah, I would have. Next time maybe we'll reformat the whole thing. I thought we were going to watch some trailers and stuff, but we decided to do this. Next time we'll get rid of that banner, okay? Chavez, strong fighter, weak game. Another one I've never heard of, Chavez, for the Super NES, and it got very mild ratings. Yikes. That's sort of like a side profile boxing game. I wonder if you can rotate at all. Some of these games would be 2D, but you could kind of have this pseudo rotation effect going on, so they seemed somewhat 3D. I remember there's like an NCAA basketball game for Super Nintendo I used to play when I was a little kid. It was like fake 3D, but it seemed real. Suzuka, 8 hours. This is a bike racing game. Very mild. Well, no, the fun factor and control on these got an okay rating. A lot of games I don't remember seeing. Mario's and your Zelda, your CDI Tennis. You got your Mario's and Zelda, your CDI Tennis. Yeah. One of the best ever. Oh, sick. All right, let's see what else we missed. Oh, we forgot about the Shut Up and Jam promotion that was happening in this issue. Anybody that wants to enter that thing. PGA delivers more golf. This is a tough sell if you're a kid to buy a golf game. Now I'd be excited about this, but PGA European Tour, look at that. It got a 5 for the fun factor. Pebble Beach was almost a perfect 5, and that was on the Genesis. So this is a heyday of 16-bit golf games. This was the absolute heyday. NBA Showdown. This was Genesis and Super NES. Another trophy for Bill Walsh. Bill Walsh College Football. Boy, oh boy. NBA Showdown. But look at that 2D graphics. I wish I remember what that ends. I think it was NCAA that had the pseudo 3D graphics for Super Nintendo. It was mind-blowing at the time. Way ahead of its time. Super Bases Loaded 2. This is one of those just ancient baseball franchises. Did whatever happen to Bases Loaded? CD Perfection. Here we go. NHL Hockey for 94 for the Sega CD. We got another perfect 5. A perfect 5. This hockey game. Oh, because look at that. They feature footage. Punctuates the action. Oh my gosh. Look at that. They have little picture-in-picture of full motion video, and they also have full screen full motion video. So if you were like making a play and then they were actually showing you a clip of that, a video, some kind of video clip that doesn't correspond exactly, that would have still been very impressive. There's a lot of sports games back here. Sega, too. Well, this is Super NES right now, so this is Super NES coming back. Here's the thing. When Sega first, when they were engaged in the console wars, they were betting big on a lot of sports stuff, and they did pretty well. But Super Nintendo was jumping in the game here, you see, in the as the 90s continued. More. Oh, this is all sports section, so that's why we're seeing so many sports games. World Series Baseball, RBI Baseball 94 for the Genesis. So this is just a time when people are buying sports. Oh, yeah, there's a ton of reviews we passed. Art of Fighting for the Neo Geo. So sick. That got very good ratings. Oh, man, I just salivated at the thought of having a Neo Geo when I was a little kid. Ask not, what can my Sega do for me? Ask what can I do with my Sega CD. So look at that little variation. Barkley, shut up and jam street ball. Here's the contest. You fill this thing out, mail it in, and you're going to win. The grand prize is a trip for 2 to Street Ball Championships in Dallas, Texas. What about that controller? How do I get that? I'd be happy with that controller as a grand prize. The winner will receive airline tickets and accommodations for 3 days and 2 nights, plus $500 in spending money, plus an ultimate controller. There it is. Fighter Stick SG6 and Fighter Stick SN. Wow. So this was a big contest back then. The Horde for the 3DO got perfect 5s. They're giving out perfect 5s like it's just, I mean, what? Like nothing here on GamePro at this point. What's going on with all these perfect 5s? Were games this good back in 1994? Maybe they were, actually. Maybe games were that good that we got 3 perfect 5s in the same month at this point. Chuck Rock 2. MXA Ghost is saying their father bought them a golf game. I hated playing them with him. He got mad, me beating him once, and took the hammer to the cartridge. Holy smokes. The maddest I ever got when I was a little kid, I got quite mad, actually. There was a particular game I was trying to beat for, it felt like forever. It probably was only like a month, but at some point I was at the end level boss and I failed. I don't want to say what the game is right now. I took the game out of the system. I ran out into the street in a massive display of rage quitting, and I launched the cartridge into my friend. He was also my friend. So it's like in the back of my mind, I probably subconsciously, I knew even though I'm rage quitting to this in this spectacular fashion, I knew I'm going to be able to recover this cartridge and hopefully it doesn't hit a rock or something, because I will try again. But I was so mad at the moment, I unleashed it, launched it into my neighbor's yard. And then I remember going back. I don't know if it was the same day. It was probably just a couple hours later. I went rifling through the tall grass because he had a big yard. I'd rifle through the grass trying to find that thing. I found it, and it worked fine. And eventually I did beat it. Crying. Bachtan remembers crying from Superman 64 because they weren't able to rent games very often at the time, and it was so bad I wasted my rental. Yeah, renting was a real thing. I think I was talking to Huber about that the other day, of like, everything was always rented out, and so you always had to settle for some weird game that or some game had bad vibes, and like, yeah, it was just a bummer because you were like, well, it's better than nothing, but then it kind of wasn't better than nothing. It was like torture you put yourself through. This massive strategy guide for Sonic 3. So they have reviews through this entire thing. Alfred Chicken got pretty good ratings. I feel like I might have played this Alfred Chicken game somewhere. I don't know where. Was this ever re-released on Switch or something? I think I might have tried it. GamePro products. Mega Race. Oh, this game is so good. I remember having this on the PC when I was a little kid, and it was so good. From what I remember, it must have had a pretty good frame rate because I remember the animation and everything being super slick, super smooth. It had this awesome plot, this futuristic kind of B-movie plot, and it had spectacular and fully rendered animation, amazing 3D graphics. Look at this thing. Choose your vehicle wisely. You'd have all these weapons. Yeah, and they had host Lance Boyle. Look up some stuff if you're not familiar with Mega Race. Most of you probably are, but you've probably heard of this. But it's just, this is one of those cult classics that's so freaking sick. I used to love that game when I was a kid. Mega Race. Little picture of Lance, yeah. All right. Anything else in this issue of GamePro? I'm sure there's a lot if we started looking at the details. So Joe and Mac 2, here it is, Super NES, Choplifter 3, which I've never heard about, got pretty good ratings, all 4s or higher. Joe and Mac 2 got pretty good except sound. Sound was very mild. Everything else was pretty great. I remember liking Joe and Mac 2 when I played it. I think it's out on Nintendo Online, isn't it? It's better than the first one. Lethal Enforcers. Oh, here you go. This is Super NES. Yeah, so they were going all the way back here, and this got great ratings. The graphics and sound are 4 and 5. I mean, this is an arcade port, and it looks almost, and it was a full motion video game, right? Full motion video. Huber was just asking about this game the other day, actually, on stream, right? He was asking, where the heck is Lethal Enforcers? I haven't seen it anywhere, and it's true. This is one of those games that I haven't seen out in the wild in a long, long time, Lethal Enforcers. Mega Man Soccer they had. Now look at this. Low ratings. People did not want to be playing Mega Man Soccer at this point. They didn't like it. They didn't like Mega Man Soccer. Flashback. The Ninja Warriors. Oh, but which this is the Super Nintendo port. Okay, they actually have recently released a not recently, but within the last year probably, a great port of Ninja Warriors, true arcade port on the Switch. Also, it had Ninja Warriors was one of these weird games in the arcade that did a super insanely wide aspect ratio, even wider than the X-Men arcade game and all of that. So it had an extreme wide letterbox thing, and the new version on the Switch preserves all that. It's actually a very nice release, but this one got really good ratings, considering it's obviously a truncated screen size you're dealing with. This is not a, how could they? And that's what it is. Tomcat Alley. Look at this, another perfect score. Tomcat Alley. Now, this looks like something I would like to play on Sega CD. I would love... speaking of it, the Genesis Mini 2, shout out, right? They put a limited selection of Sega CD. They dipped their toe in. Gosh, I hope they do more. Please come out with this comprehensive, huge library. So few people. It's like I've gotten to play so few Sega CD games, and there's so many I want to play. It's not an easy stuff to track down if you're playing it on the actual hardware. Emulations have not been released. Here we have another perfect 5, Tomcat Alley. This looks like it would appeal to me. I mean, it looks like photorealistic graphics in-game. I mean, the stuff in-game looks very realistic, and then it's got a bunch of movie stuff integrated in it as well. Back alley fighting. Cat's gonna howl. Anybody play this game? It looks awesome. They gave it a 10. Yeah, everything. It was true, Spectron. If they had full motion video in it in this era, that was going to push it very close to a 10 just on its own, even if there was very little game other than the video. People wanted to see this in games back then. Somebody's getting kickbacks, right? There's no way there's 4 perfect 5s in the same month. I would like to track that down, though, and give it a try. Tomcat Alley. I've got to remember that. Asterix. And the Great Rescue. This is this version for the Genesis. Sort of European comic. I forget where this is from. This Asterix and Obelisk, right? Is that what it was? I've heard of them a lot, but I haven't gotten to read them a lot. They must be good. Mutant League Hockey. So Mutant League Football obviously was a big success. So now they're trying to branch out into hockey, and it looks like they had some success with it. Hold on now. What does this say? What Tanya Harding is to figure skating, this game is to hockey. Wow. Combining hockey with war. Mutant League is bloody, hilarious fun, but it's no champion. Ouch. Whoa. So Tanya Harding was bloody, hilarious fun, I guess, back then, but she wasn't a champion. Is this the way they viewed these celebrities at this time, and these sort of notorious celebrities? The Pirates of Darkwater. This one I remember hearing about for the Genesis. I think it was supposed to be pretty rad. Control. Is that what got a perfect 5? Sound got mild. Graphics and fun factor were highly rated. A broken leg. Yes, that's the broken leg of Super R-Type 3 was very good. Wow, so they have, look at how they used to organize GamePro. They would just put the reviews all the way through. The Flintstones, The Treasure of Sierra Madre. That sounds very fun to me. Entertainment from the Dawn of Civilization. But who knows? It was a Taito game. Microcosm. And look at this. Yeah, so I just noticed that. They're prominently featuring, for the first time ever, the ratings of the game. If it's a Sega or a 3DO, they implemented their own self-rating system. This is right at the threshold of the actual rating system being integrated into the video game industry. What a time. And this was MA13, this one, Microcosm, for the Sega CD. It got decent ratings. The sound was superb. Another Sega CD game I haven't heard of. Gosh, a mini Sega CD would be so great. Rebel Assault. Ooh, Control suffers there. Not yet rated. Grind Stormer. Cool name. Wondrous Weapons is another top-down shooter. Shooters. Oh, yeah, that's the special feature that Blood was talking about. Here we got Tempest. So Tempest didn't get perfect 5s. Wow, I'm surprised, actually. I'm surprised it didn't get perfect 5s. I would have thought in this kind of climate back then, this would have gotten perfect 5s. In fact, Subterranea was voted higher. I think there was a lot of bitterness towards towards the Jaguar at this point. So by the time the Tempest came out, like what I was talking about earlier, it was very bittersweet. It was like, yeah, but, you know, this is fun, this is great, but still not what we got into this thing for. Alien Attack. Oh, so now the Genesis was doing some pseudo full motion video there in the bottom, if you see that. Genesis was hopping on board with some pseudo FMV. CDJ Gamer telling me, did I see Nintendo World has a Bowser Meatball Challenge now? What is this, an eating contest to see how many meatballs you can eat? This sounds awesome. How do you get involved in this meatball contest, CDJ? Rebel Assault for Sega CD. Hook for Super Nintendo. I think I have played that, and I liked it. I did like that, Detoid. A review of Skitchin. What year was that? That's a good question. I have revisited Skitchin. It's a giant meatball meal. It looks good. I love giant meatballs. I do. They're yummy. There used to be a place when I worked at Game Trailers, on the way home from work I would stop at sometimes. I would stop at there often because they had it was actually a bowling alley with a restaurant connected to it. And they had a tiny little arcade in there. And they also had some pinball and some cool games. But they had a yummy matzo ball soup. And so I'd stop there often after work on my way home, and I'd stop to play a few games in the arcade and go home. But sometimes I'd pick up some of this matzo ball soup, but they made it with a matzo ball that was like this. It was giant, like the size of a large grapefruit, because most of the time when I had something like meatballs, matzo balls, you think, okay, it's going to be, you know, a golf ball-ish size, maybe a little bigger. This was massive, like this, and it was so yummy. It would just give you one giant matzo ball and then the bowl of soup. And I wonder if that's how big this, I'm wondering how big this meatball is. Meatball challenge during their visit. Yes, we will do that. I will definitely take on the meatball challenge during our visit to Super Nintendo World. Boy, are we excited. I didn't try the fog juice in Bowser yet, Rousdower asking. You know, we got this Bowser toy, a little sort of miniature fog machine. Look, this stuff, I don't know what kind of mechanism it has in there. I'm assuming since it works on water vapor, it would be a similar system to what my fog juice works on in the fog machine, but I'm not 100% sure. So I'm a little nervous about using it. I want to use it, but some of the other allies were kind of like looked at me a little bit cockeyed when I brought up the idea. So, you know, I don't want to break this Bowser toy, you know, have it melt or something right out of the gates. I need to look into it a little more. I think we need to do some research. Someone needs to give me the green light on this, okay? So if anyone can figure out, are these similar systems? Will it not gunk up the works? If it does gunk up the works, can I run water through it and fix it, much like I did with my fog machine? Because that thing, I don't know if you saw Dawn vs. Wave Race before EasyX, but that fog machine is pumping now. Oh, no, at EasyX. It's pumping now that I cleaned it out. Let me know, though. I'm ready to modify this Bowser if someone can somewhat give me a little bit of a green light. All right, we're wrapping things up, everybody. This was sick as hell. This was a fun hangout. Thanks to Blood for hanging. He's on his way down here probably by now. And we're flipping through Game Pros of May 1994. Nice little travel back in time right there, that was, wasn't it? So, all right, everyone. Make sure you return soon. I need you to make Bowser's fog jet to reach at least 3 feet. That's what I was saying. I was saying it would be so sick if it made it like... So I don't think the fog will be propelled further if I put the juice in, but I do think there's a good chance that the fog will come out more dense, a thicker fog, and you know we like that. We like a nice thick fog cloud around here. Yeah, come back, Sarah Knight. Thank you. The community showcase later, which actually Blood is going to be on, so that's going to be rad as hell. And then there's a couple other things happening today. Obviously, group stream. Was there something else before group stream? Check that schedule link and you'll see. We do love our fog thick around here. Oh, the Jenga pulls. Make sure you're here for the group stream. I think we have well over 100 Jenga pulls. So we're going to be speed Jenga pulling. It's going to be intense. I don't know how we're going to work this thing out. That tower's got to drop a few times at least. Awesome. I had fun too, Screaming Argonaut. Thanks for being here. Sarah Knight as well. Thank you for being here and helping out with everything. As always, everybody, thank you for being here. And come back for the Blood Community Showcase. And also 1,001 Jenga pulls. I'm just kidding, but it's close to that. It's definitely over 100, I'm pretty sure. Get 2 Jenga towers for 2 times the speed. Thanks, Spectron. Everybody, thanks for chatting, hanging out. Sick as hell. I will see you a little later on today. Arrivederci, y'all. Peace out.